The topic we'll be discussing in this lecture is WML script. WML script complements to WML, wireless markup language, and provides a general scripting capability in the WAP architecture, the WAP architecture. While all WML content is static, generally WML contents are static. WML script offers several capabilities which are not supported by WML. Okay, so some of the services that it offers were include some of the capabilities or features that it offers were validity check of user input. It is before user input is sent to the server, WML script can check the validity of how correct the user input is, whether the user input is in the appropriate format or not, whether it is correct or not, all those things. Access to device facilities. WML script offers functions to access hardware components and software functions of the device. Okay. On a phone, a user could, example, make a call, access the address book, or send a message via the message services of the phone. All these things he can do through WML using WML script. Basically, these features as such are not available in WML. But with the help of WML script, it can be integrated into WML. Local user interaction. Without introducing round-trip delays, WML script can directly and locally interact with a user, show messages or prompt for input. It can take user input by prompting messages. Okay. Uh, Instead of sending everything to the server, certain user inputs can be taken through the WML script itself. Extension to the device software. With the help of WML script, a device can be configured and new functionality can be added even after deployment. Okay. So you can download new software from vendors and thus upgrade the device easily. So any hardware device can be configured using WML script. WML script is based on JavaScript, but adapted to the wireless environment. And it is an WML script is event based. There is a spelling mistake here. It is event based. WML script is event based. That is, the script may be invoked in response to certain user or environment events. That is, if the user presses the command button or the user clicks the mouse, accordingly the script can be invoked. WML script also has full access to the state model of WML. That is, WML script can set and read WML variables, right? It can read WML variables and also it can change its values. And WML script provides many features from standard programming languages such as while loop, if, for loop, return, etc. Okay. WML is generally, it is weakly typed. It's a weakly typed language. That is, you need not specify the data type. The data type will be taken automatically. So here we are discussing one example code by using WML script. Okay. So here is the function pizza test, which accepts one value as input, and the local variable taste is initialized to the string unknown initially. Then the script checks if the input parameter that is passed to the function, that is pizza type, if it has the value MAR, then the taste will be set to well. Otherwise, the script will check whether the pizza type is VUL. If it is VUL, then the taste will be set to quite hot. Okay. And at last, the function will return the value of the pizza test. So that is the code. Let us see the code here. So this is a function. The name of the function is pizza underscore test. Okay. And it takes an argument pizza type. And here is a local variable taste, which is initialized with unknown. And then it checks whether pizza type is equal to MAR. If it is MAR, then taste is initialized to well. Else else this part will execute. Here we are checking if pizza type is equal to VUL. If it is VUL, then test is set to hot. So this is the end of else, and this is the end of this if. Okay, and this is the end of this else, and yeah. So sorry, this is the end of the if, and this is the end of the else. Okay, then it returns test, whatever the value of the test it returns, and this is the end of the function. Okay. This is a small example which shows like how WML script works. Okay, fine. And WML script also includes certain libraries, okay, which the user can take benefit of. So basically, there are 6 libraries available. Lang, there is a library Lang, which provides functions related to WML script itself. Example like isInt to check if a value could be converted to an integer or float. Okay, Uh, and there is a library float. Many floating point arithmetic operations can be done through this library. Like it includes functions round for rounding a number, it includes function sqrt for taking for knowing the square root of a number, like that. And there is a library for string which is used for string manipulations, like finding the length of the string, finding a substring from a given string. Okay, um, like that there are several functions available. Okay, and also there is a library url. This library provides many functions for handling urls. uh, okay, this is basically used to handle the url, right? And there is a library called wml browser which provides several functions typical for a browser. Typically, what are the operations that can be done with a browser, such as previous to go back to the previous code, and refresh to update the context of the user interface. Like that, it contains several functions to perform various tasks. Okay, and also it has a function called go, which is used to load the content of a page based on the given parameters. Okay? And there is a dialogue, and there is a library called dialogues. This is used for interaction with a user. Okay, an example function is prompt. So the library contains a function called prompt through which user input can be taken. So this is about WML script. So basically WML script complements WML to provide scripting features, and it can be used for checking the validity of the user input, accessing the device facilities, local user interaction, extension of device softwares. And we have discussed how to this the WML script is based on JavaScript. It also closely resembles JavaScript. It is a event-based scripting language. It uses programming constructs like while, if, for, return, all those things. And it is a weakly typed language. That is, data type will be assumed automatically. You need not explicitly define the data type. And we discussed a small example on WML script, and then we discussed a few libraries on WML script. Right? Fine. Now we'll move to the next topic, which is wireless telephony application. So browsing the web using the WML browser is only one application for a handheld device user. Okay, but still a user may want to make a call and access all the features of a phone network as with a traditional mobile phone. This is where the wireless telephony application WTA comes. Okay, so the WTA user agent and the wireless telephony application interface. The WTA is basically is a collection of telephony specific extension for call and feature control mechanisms, merging data network and voice networks. So this diagram actually it shows the WTA telephony application architecture. WTA wireless telephony application architecture, logical architecture. Okay. So the client, if he wants to avail any service, first he will communicate with the server through the mobile network. Through the mobile network or other telephony network, or through some means he will communicate with the server. and the appropriate server, the request will go to the appropriate server, and the server will respond again back to the particular client through the mobile network. Okay, so this is something which is similar to already whatever we have discussed under wireless application environment. The client will send an encoded message, and then it will be decoded and sent to the respective server. Again, server will send a message, and then it will be encoded through the gateway. If it is coming through the gateway, then the gateway will encode it, and then it will send back to the client. So this is the overall architecture of wireless telephony application, right? So let us see one typical example. Mm, how the interaction between the user agent, gateway, server, mobile network, and voice box server happens in a WTA, in a wireless telephony application. Okay. So this particular example, it shows an interaction between WTA client, WTA gateway, WTA server, and the mobile network and the voice box servers. Okay. So here we assume that someone might leave a message on the voice box server. Okay, we have something called as voice box server. So somebody has left some message for you in the voice box server. Now you have to access. You have to, if you want to know what is the message, you have to make a call to that voice box, to that particular message of that voice box, and then only you can know that particular message. Okay. Okay, so that is the context. Someone might leave a message on a voice box server. So without WAP, the network operator typically generates an SMS indicating the new message on the voice box on the mobile phone. However, it is typically not indicated who left a message, what messages are stored, all those things. User have to call the voice box to check and cannot choose a particular message. Okay. User has to call to the voice box to check what message it is. So this is how generally it works without WAP. Okay. So without WAP, the network operator will just send message to the SMS to the user indicating that you have some messages in the voice box. That's all it will say. It will not say who has sent the message, what are the different messages, like that. No, it won't say like that. But the client should call back to know the actually what is the message. But in a WAP scenario, what happens in the sense, the voice box can induce the WPS to generate new content for pushing to the client. Okay, in a WAP scenario, the voice box can induce the WTA server. So voice box will not directly communicate with the user. Rather, it indicates that there are new voices for so and so user to the WTA server. It indicates just to the WTA server. Okay. The server does not push this immediately to the client, but sends a push message containing a single URL to the client. Okay, but so once server receives this message, server will send a push a URL to the client, and that will be reaching the client, and client knows that now someone wants to communicate us. Okay, okay. So the server may be also sending a short note, something like this. 5 new calls are stored. Okay, like that. So if 5 messages were there, then it may say 5 new calls were stored. It is voice messages. Okay, like that. Mm. So along with the push, it will also include that, like a brief information about the message. Okay, and codes it onto more compact binary format, and then it will send it. Okay. So uh, if the user now, if the user wants to listen to the message, if the user want to listen to the store message, then he can request a list of the message. Okay, then he can request a list of the message. This is done with WSP get request. With WSP get request, through the WSP get request, the user can request that I want to read those messages. Okay, the gateway will translate this message. Okay, The gateway translates this WSP get uh, i- into a HTTP get. Okay, so actually the user is sending WSP get, but the gateway will translate into HTTP get. The gateway will translate this into a HTTP get, and server responds with the prepared list of callers, and then the server will respond with a list of callers, who are the persons they have left the voice messages. Okay, so each voice message in this example has an URL. So if there are voice messages, then there will be 5 URLs. Okay, each voice messages will have an URL which can request a certain WML code from the server. The purpose of this code is to prepare the client for an incoming call. Okay, so as soon as the client receives the code, it waits for the incoming call. Okay, the call is then automatically accepted, right? So after displaying the content, the user can see basically the server is now responding with all the messages, all the voice messages as a different URL. Okay, out of those all voice messages, out of those voice messages, okay, the user can select a voice message from the list. Out of the 5 voice message, the user can select one voice message. Okay, so that will, if whatever the user selects, that will go as a request, that will again go as a request. Okay, that will go as a request. The purpose, that will go as a request, and that will also, that is also in the form of a code, WML code. Okay, the purpose of this code is to prepare the client for an incoming call. So now the client will get an incoming call. Okay, now the WTA server will respond with a call for that particular code. Okay, and the client will wait for the call, and then uh, the once the call is set up, and then there will be play request or voice messages, and then there will be call setup. Once call is set up, uh, the call setup information will be sent from the voice box to the mobile network, and then to the client, and the client will accept the call. Once the client accepted the call, the client will be able to listen to the voice message. Okay, so this is just an example which shows like how interaction between WTA happens. So we have discussed this with a voice box server. So I think it's clear. So there is a voice box server. It contains few messages. It is intimating this to WTA server. WTA server is intimating this to the client through a push message. And so this now contains only a single message that somebody want to, some 4 or 5 users has sent a voice message like that. Now the WTA user send a WSP get to the gateway, and gateway convert this into HTTP get and send to the WTA server. So now the user understands that the user want to listen to some of the voices. So the server understands that the user want to listen to some of the voices. So the server will send back uh, a message which contains a different URL for different voice messages. Okay, so out of that, the client may pick any one of the message to listen. Okay, then that will go as a WSP get, and then it will be converted to a HTTP get, and it will reach the server. Now the server, what it will do for this particular thing, it will initiate a it will set up a call with the voice box server, and the client will wait for the call. The call will be established, and the client will accept the call, and then the particular voice will reach the client. So this is how WTA interaction works. Okay, now let us discuss some more examples for WTA. So, here is an example WML code which uses WTA. Okay, see this code, what it does in the sense, it is used to vote for champion. Okay, there are some list of champions, the user can vote. So there is this is the XML part, and this is the actual WML code. Okay, there are two chords are here. This is chord 1 and this is chord 2. Okay, in chord 1, chord ID, chord 1 title, televoting, it's a televoting. Do type is accept, go href chord 2. It's just referring to chord 2. Please choose your candidate. Okay, that is what. So within paragraph tag we are saying please choose your candidate. And this is the second chord. Chord ID is chord 2. Title your selection. Do type is accept, go href, WTA. So this you can see here we are using WTA. So WTA is wireless telephone applications. So here we are using WTA to make an automatic call on the selected number. This dial number. This is whatever the user is going to select, on that number an automatic call will be made. Okay, but not now when the user selects. Okay, and these are the options the user can select. Select name is dial number. Okay, so this dial number is what is coming here. Okay, and the various options are: option value is some number, name is Mickey; option value some other number, name is Donald; option value some other number and name is Pluto. Now the user will get a list box. From that he can select any one name. So if he selects Mickey, then automatically then this will be called, then this statement will be called, and automatically a call will be established to Mickey. If he selects Donald, then automatically the call will be established to Donald. If he selects Pluto, then automatically the call will be established to Pluto. Okay, so this is a simple example on of how WTA can be used for automatic calling with WML. Okay, but here there are some other issues which are ignored in this code. For example, when you are making a call, there may be an error, or the user might not be picking the call, or he may be busy. So such cases are not addressed in this code. So there is another code which addresses all those things. So here, what we are doing in the sense, in this code, you can see here we are using a WML script at the top. This is a WML script, and it contains a function vote call, and it takes one parameter nor. Okay, and it checks where, and there is a variable j which is WTA call control dot setup nor comma 1. Okay, so 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 so, so this is a call control. You can see it's a call control library. Okay, WTA call control library, and there is a function setup, and to that it is passing nor with a parameter 1. Okay, now if this function WTA call control is a class or whatever it may be, and then the setup function is being called. So if this returns a value greater than 0, then it means that the call is established successfully. Otherwise it means that there is some error. So the code checks. So it will return some value, and that value will be stored in j. So it checks if j greater than or equal to 0, then we are saying WML browser dot set variable message called. Okay, that is, there is a variable message that will be assigned with called, and set variable no number is equal to nr. Nr is number, whatever the number the user selects. Okay, the previous code we have discussed, now whatever the number the user selects, that will come in nr. Okay, so it will display like called this particular number. For example, if this function dot setup function returns a value less than 0, then it will display WML browser dot set variable message error. There is some error in connecting the call, and WML browser dot set var no dot j, that error code will come here, -1, -2, or whatever it may be. Okay, then we are calling WML browser dot go show result. Show result is one chord. It's the name of a chord. Here you can see show result. So this will be called, and here what we are doing, status message and number. Message is a variable. Okay, message is a variable. So if message is assigned with this, then it will say called uh, particular number. No is this number. Okay, if message is assigned with what do you call, if message is assigned with error, then it will say error with so and so number, with error and the error code. Okay, So this is the basic WML code. Some of the codes are very similar to whatever we have discussed in the previous case. So this part it is same in the as the previous case. There is a chord, televoting, accept, go ref, go to chord 2 like that. Okay. Here is the selection part. This is also everything is same. The only difference is where in the go ref there is a difference. Here we are saying my scripts vote call dollar dial number. Okay, that is once the user selects a particular name, that is if the user selects Mickey, then it will call vote call. So vote call is a function. Vote call is this function, and for this vote call, whatever the user selects, that particular number will be paused. So if the user selected Mickey, then this number will be paused. This number will be paused for NR. Okay. If user selects Pluto, then this number will be paused for NR. Okay. And then it will check whether is it possible to make a call or not, all those things that this function will take care. Okay. So 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 that so this is how this particular concept WTA works, wireless telephony application. All right. Okay. The next topic that we'll be discussing is push architecture. Okay. So this is the diagram for the push architecture. Basically the server is called as the push initiator, which pushes things, and it pushes through a protocol called push access protocol, and then the message goes to push proxy gateway, and then the message goes to push proxy gateway, and from there it goes to the client through a protocol called push OTA protocol. Push OTA stands for push over the air. Okay. So the server is the push initiator, and it transfers content via push proxy gateway, okay, to a client. The push access protocol controls communication between PI and PPG. Push access protocol controls communication between PI and PPG. Okay. The push over the air protocol is used between PPG and the client. Push over the air protocol is used between PPG and the client. Okay. If the PA is able to use the push OTA protocol, suppose if PA is able to use the push ATA protocol, then it can also communicate directly with the client. If the PA is able to use the push OTA protocol, then it can even directly communicate with the client. So what is this push proxy gateway? This push proxy gateway is similar to WTA gateway for pull services. Okay. In WTA also we have discussed a gateway. So this push proxy gateway is similar to that. And this push proxy gateway provides many functions to transform protocol messages and content exchange between the server and the client. Okay. And PPG accepts push messages from a PI and checks if this message can be forwarded to the client. Right. Checking includes mapping of a client address onto a format valid in the mobile network. Okay. Checking means converting the client address to a proper format that will be understandable by the mobile network. Uh, Additionally, it may be necessary to locate the client also first. Okay. The content may be transcoded to gain greater efficiency during transmission. It may encode the message and then send. Okay. PPG. Okay, sometimes if required, PPG can also send success or failure messages to PI, whether the push was success or not, all these things. Okay, so this is the brief introduction about push architecture. Now let us see the push access protocol. The push access protocol PAP, the push access protocol PAP, what it does in the sense, it transfers content from PI to PPG. Although PAP was developed independently from the underlying transport service, PAP over HTTP is the first implementation. Okay, HTTP post messages are used for transmission. So how PAP messages are transmitted in the sense it is transmitted as HTTP post messages, and PAP performs these operations. Push submission. It does push submission. What is meant by push submission? It delivers a push message from PI to PPG for forwarding to a client. Okay. The response indicates the initial acceptance or rejection of the forwarding request. So push submission means it performs submission of a push message from PI to PPG. Okay, and the response indicates whether the initial whether it is accepted or rejected. And also it other operation it does is result notification. The PPG notifies the PI. Actually, the result notification comes from PPG to PI about the result of the push request. Okay, so all these are the operations done by push access protocol. First, it performs push submission and then result notification that was sent from PPG to PI about the result of the push request. Okay. If the message reached the client, if the client deleted the message, if an okay whether the push message has reached the client or not, okay, whether the client has deleted the message, if an error occurred at the client, or if the message arrived too late, all these information are a part of result notification. Okay, because push is sending the message for the client. So what whether the client has got it or not got, or it went with a delay, all that information it will send to the push indicator. To the all these information it will send, all these information are part of push result notification. Okay, then push cancellation. A PI can try to cancel a push request before delivery to a client. Okay, sometimes after sending a push, the PA may want to cancel the push. That can be done by push cancellation. Okay. So the result of the PPG indicates if the cancellation was successful or not. Okay. So this is called as push cancellation. And then status query. With the help of PAP, push access protocol, the PA can query the status of a push message. Okay, the result could indicate if the PPG already delivered the message or is still trying to reach the client, like that. What's the status of my previous push message? Like that, it can ask the gateway through status query. And the next is client capabilities query. The PI might be interested in the client capabilities. Additionally, PPG can inform the PI about its capabilities regarding content transformation, like what type of content the client can receive. So that information, if the server want to know, it can get that information through the gateway by sending the through the operation client capabilities query. Fine. So this is about push access protocol. Next we shall discuss about push OTA protocol. Okay, so there are some service primitives available for push OTA protocol. These are PO push. PO push represents unacknowledged push of content within a push session via an connection oriented service. Okay. PO push represents unacknowledged push of content within a push session via connection oriented service. Okay. And PO confirmed push represents acknowledged push content within a push session through a connection oriented service. Okay. And PO push abort represents rejection of a push by the client. If the client rejects the push message, then that is represented through PO push abort. And PO unit push represents unacknowledged push of content via a connectionless session. Okay. So these are some of the what do you call some of the primitives that are used by push OTA protocol. Okay. The push OTA protocol works on top of WSP, okay, wireless session protocol. The protocol offers delivery of push message, selection of transport services for push messages, and authentication of PIs, push indicator, the the push initiator, PI is push initiator. The push service can be connection oriented or connectionless, based on the bidirectional or unidirectional bearer. Okay. So these are some of the primitives that are used in push OTA protocol. It also uses some more primitives available for push session management. So these are the primitives for push session management. They are POM connect. PO1 connect, it is used for creation of a push session by the client. It is used for creation of a push session by the client. POM suspend. So this is for the suspension of a push session. This is used to suspend a push session. POM resume. This is to resume a push session. Okay. POM disconnect. This is to terminate a push session. POM session request. This is to request a push session by a server. Right? So this is about the push architecture. Right? The next topic that we'll be discussing is push and pull services. Okay. So as mobile devices have relatively low computing power, the device may be too busy to accept and executing a push message from a PI. Sometimes the server might have sent a push message, but the client might not be able to accept that at that point of time as it is busy. In this case, the PI can only indicate a service to the client but not the transfer of the whole push content. In that case, what the PI can do, push initiator, what it can do in the sense, or the server, instead of sending the push message, it can indicate that there is a push service available. Okay. So WAP specified a service indication for this purpose. Okay. So the simplest version of SI, this service indication comprises a URI, Universal Resource Identifier, pointing to the service and a short message. Okay. So that is, the client is not in a position to accept the service right now. So the server or the PI is just sending an information that there is a service available, and they are sending it through a URI and with a short message. Okay. Now later, uh, the PPG converts this message format, convert this to the appropriate format between the PA and the client. Finally, the link will reach the client. Okay. Now it is up to the client whether to use the service immediately or later. Okay. As soon as the service is used, a classical client pull follows. Okay. So maybe after sometimes after 1 hour or half an hour, the client see the message. Okay, this service is available. Like that, if he clicks, the moment he clicks, then it becomes a pull service because now you are requesting. It is initiated from the client. I think you are aware of push and pull service. Push means if something is server is pushing to you, that is called as push service. We get many notifications, many SMSs about so and so's features, about so and so product. All these are push service. Okay, but if you want to search for something, and if you yourself type something in the URL, and then if you search, then that is a pull service. Okay. Say you want to purchase a device, so you want to purchase a laptop, you are going to the you are going to Google and you are searching, that is called as pull service. Okay, right? So you say you purchased a laptop, after that you are getting a message in your mobile phone, purchase this Wi-Fi wireless mouse, like that. That is a push service. That is a push service. If we go and create the service, if we go and avail the service, that is a pull service. If the service comes from the server end automatically, that is a push service. Okay. Right. So here is an example. A push message may compromise additional attributes indicating the importance of the lifetime of the message. Here is a following example which shows a simple uh, SI message that is yeah, this is a small message. Okay, it shows SI stands for service indication. It shows a simple service indication message containing a special pizza offer which is only valid for 5 minutes. So with push, you can define the lifetime also. So how to define that lifetime, that we are going to discuss here. So this pizza offer is only for 5 minutes. So let us see the code. So this is the XML part. So here we specify this is SI. Okay, SI is what? SI is what? Service indication. SI and slash SI. And then indication slash indication. And then href to some website which is offering pizza. Okay, and it is created at what time? It is created at 17:45:32 on some date. It expires on what date? SA expires on 17:50:31 on the same day. On the same day. Okay. So it means this service is valid only for 5 minutes. Maybe they are offering pizza freely or with a very low cost, but the service is offered only between these 5 minutes. Okay. So this code, how to implement this code in the sense, this is how it can be implemented using WML, right? So that's it about the push and pull services, and that's it about this particular topic. Okay, uh, right. So which is yeah. So what we have discussed in this session, in the sense, so in this particular session, mobile internet connectivity. Here, first we have discussed about the web architecture. Then we have discussed about the WAE, wireless application environment, and then we have discussed WML. We have discussed some example code for WML. Then we have discussed WML script. What is the role of WML script? WML script will can enhance the usage of WML by providing some additional services which are not available in WML. We discussed a few examples of WML script also, and then we have discussed WTA, wireless telephony applications, and then we have discussed the push architecture and push and pull services. Okay, so fine, let us stop here. Thank you.